Hello there, my name is Dean Holtz, and I've been looking at snowblowers lately, and I bought my first snowblower, and what we wanted to do, my friend and I, was to show you the difference between two machines. And these machines aren't even apples to apples, they're very different machines. We have one that's a single stage, one that's a dual stage, one of them uses a track system, two different manufacturers, Honda and Ariens, which by many are considered the two top brands in this type of machine. What we're going to do is go through the differences between the two machines and the advantages and the disadvantages that they may have for you as an operator, and hopefully this can be of some help to you as you determine what kind of machine you want to buy. Let's take a look first. This is the Honda model that we have here, and this is the HS928. The production for this machine started in roughly 2005. This particular unit is actually about 3 to 4 years old. It has many features that are advantageous for removing snow, such as we have a 28-inch cut, we have a 14-inch high auger, and we see that it's serrated. The advantage to this, obviously, is this will cut through hard-packed snow and ice that we'll get at what we call the EODs, or end of driveways. Everyone knows how much a pain in the butt that is. We also see inside it's got a nice big 12-inch impeller, and this is what operates at a much higher rate of speed, usually somewhere around 1300 RPMs. That's going to shoot the snow out of the discharge chute. What we see here is a nice heavy-duty casing for the gearbox, which is cast iron, so that the durability is going to be excellent for this model. What we have as features for this model is many advantages for the operator. One of the nicest things that Honda did that a lot of people enjoy is a hydrostatic drive. So we see a lever here where you're going to be able to infinitely and vary the speed of this forward and reverse. So you don't have to be putting it into gears back and forward. You can just with a slight touch. So it's kind of like operating a caterpillar or something like that. A very nice, very easy and gradual movement. Secondly, we have a joystick over here, and this controls the chute, not only the rotation of it, but it also controls the angle at which we're going to throw the snow. And this is all operated electronically and very effortlessly. These controls are done in such a way that we can operate them while we are still operating the machine. It can still be in forward motion. So we have on the handle here, we have this is the gear for the auger, and then this is for your drive. And what we also have with the Honda is you have a spring on the back where you can tilt it in case you want to be pushing up to get into a snowbank, which is very advantageous because with the track system, it's not very easy to just pivot like you would if you had a machine with wheels. One of the advantages to having a track system is that it will keep pushing forward. Because you don't have wheels and you don't have that natural pivot point, the machine's not going to ride up over top hard-packed ice and snow. It's going to keep driving forward. It also makes it a little easier for it to keep it in a nice straight line. As well as traction is pretty much a non-issue when you have a track. And the system that the Honda uses is nothing short of excellent. Now we also see on the two-stage we have these adjustments here for the shoe, and this is to adjust the height, so in case you are going to be doing snow removal on a gravel driveway, you can set it up a little bit so you're not picking up stones, and we have an additional shoe system at the back to help with that. Of course, as always, there's a scraper blade there so that we get a nice clean cut along the pavement, and of course it comes with this bar for removing debris inside the discharge chute. This particular model also has some other creature comforts. This one has not just a battery on board, but an alternator, so it's essentially like starting your own car. You have a key start here. You don't have to be pulling, although it does have a pull cord in case that system for some reason should fail. And it makes it very easy to operate this machine, to get it going and to move that. In terms of the specifications for this particular model, it's rated as having about 9 horsepower. It has a 270cc engine, and it moves, according to Honda, about 50 tons of snow per hour. So it's a very capable machine, and it also weighs about 243 pounds. So this is actually considered by Honda one of their commercial grade units. This is something that contractors who do snow removal would use something like this, or certainly anyone like my friend here who has a very large driveway and wants to do it in a more efficient time. The Honda usually provides a 3-year warranty for, at least in Canada anyways, for their customers, whether commercial or residential. We live in Sarnia. Sarnia is on the basically the southwestern tip of Lake Huron, where it meets the St. Clair River. Our climate here is very humid, so our snow is often wet and heavy, but not always. And we don't typically get large snowfalls. We actually miss a snow belt that is a little east of us that travels through an area called Forest in London. Most snowfalls in our area are usually about 8 inches or less. But sometimes we do get larger snowfalls, and as well, in an area like where my friend lives, which is close to the lake, there's usually drifting because there's additional snowfall and more wind. So a larger machine like this can certainly be very helpful. Now the other machine that we're going to look at is we're going to look at the machine that I picked up, and this is made by Ariens. This is what's called a single stage. And that means that instead of having a two system for drawing in the snow and spitting it out, like on the Honda where you have the auger that draws it in at a low speed, usually about 120, 130 RPM, and then the high speed impeller at about 1300 RPM spitting the snow out. In this case, the single stage uses a single auger. And it's not made of metal, it's made of rubber. In this case with Ariens, they have their own proprietary product that they call the TPU DuraClean. They believed in it so much that they actually provided to the original purchaser of a new unit a lifetime warranty on this auger. This particular unit runs at over 1400 RPMs and immediately spits the snow out of the discharge chute right above it. Now, one of the things that's interesting about the design of the single stage that's different and necessary is that you'll see here that the paddle, the shape of it and the contour has to match the opening that is for your discharge chute. And that way you maximize not only the snow that it can remove, but you reduce the possibility of it clogging up. Many people do feel that when it comes to wet, heavy snow, that the single stage does have an advantage because it is a simpler design and the chute is right here. This particular unit uses a polymer on the chute instead of steel, like with the Honda. And one of the recommendations that a lot of professionals have is to use a product like PAM or cooking spray to coat the inside of this and even down in here where the auger is so that the wet snow does not stick to that. The other thing too is with this paddle, it will actually make contact with the pavement, and that is actually intentional so that it cleans right down to the cement. Even packed snow that you will get in your driveway from your vehicles, it will most likely remove that. That particular auger is at about 9 inches around, and this unit is rated at removing approximately 45 tons of snow per hour. Some of the features of this unit is it does have an electric start, which you can plug in back here, and there's a push button. But this unit starts very effortlessly, so the pull cord right here, which is large, so if you have your mittens on, you can fit that in no problem, is making the electric start actually not really necessary. I'm not a big fan of starting a unit like this inside of a garage simply because it is a two-stroke and it's going to emit initially more fumes. So all we need is 3 primes, the key to the on position, either a pull or a press of no more than 5 seconds on the electric starter, and away she goes. This knob right here is a nice feature because what this does is this operates your chute, and by simply turning it each way you can rotate that chute to a total of 220 degrees. And with the simple leaning forward you can operate the angle of the discharge of your snow. The other thing that Ariens has done is they provided a very large gas cap at the top because a lot of people aren't big fans of spilling, especially mixed gasoline with the oil, because it can make a big mess, so they've provided a nice large opening for that. This little black disc here is actually where you would access the spark plug for this unit. One of the other features about this unit that's unique for single stage is at the back here, we have this little area that actually will show the amount of fuel that is in the gas tank. And that's very helpful because if for some reason you have a bad snowstorm and you forgot to put in your more gas in your gas can and you have very little in your snowblower, you could run out. And if the conditions are really bad, you may not actually be able to drive to a gas station to get more gas. So this lets you know where you're at, and that is very helpful. The other thing that's a huge help is the fact that you have adjustments on the handlebar. Very few companies do this. We're not all the same height, and so this is very advantageous to be able to adjust the height of this machine for the handlebar. Now, one of the big advantages with the single stage is if you don't have a lot of space that you need to be clearing snow, is the fact it's a very light machine. It doesn't require any help to be moved, therefore none of the power in the motor is moving this machine. It's all done by your own power. It's only 80 pounds, so not only is it light enough to operate with such ease, you can turn it around very quickly, but you can literally lift it up, throw it in your van or your truck, and you can take it to help people out with their driveway. The other thing I like about this is the fact that down here we have effectively virtually about 10 inches of intake. Now compared to the Honda, which has about 20 inches, this amount of intake for our area, for the most part, is sufficient. A lot of forums you'll see online, people have found that a single stage up to its intake heights around 8, maybe 10 inches will perform as good and sometimes even quicker than a dual stage because you're not limited by the speed of the machine itself in terms of its driving forward. The nice thing too about the single stage is as you tip it forward a little bit, that auger will grab the cement and actually will pull it forward, almost like having a self-propulsion or a drive system. And that is what helps you clean right down to the cement so you get a nice clean look. Now, these two machines have another difference, and that is that the Honda is a 4-stroke engine, whereas the Ariens single stage is a 2-stroke. Now, the 4-stroke gives you the advantage of it's a lot cleaner for emissions, and it also is a lot quieter. So those are some distinct advantages. But the 4-stroke is a larger, more complex design that adds weight, and also adds parts to the motor. The 2-stroke is actually a very small, simple design, so you need lots of power in a very small engine. So for example, while this machine has 9 horsepower from a 270cc engine, this machine has 7 horsepower from a 139cc engine. So it has almost the same power in about half the size of the engine. But of course, if you don't like mixing gas and oil, you don't like the smell of a 2-stroke, of course, I like it. But if you don't like it, and you don't like the exhaust and what it does to the environment, then this wouldn't be the machine for you. What we plan on doing, my friend and I, is we're going to demonstrate how these machines actually work in snow. We don't have snow yet today. We're going to do that a little later when we get a good snowfall. And we're going to show you how they work in real tests. You can look at specifications, you can read reviews, but it doesn't really give you a good indication. And I couldn't find hardly any videos on YouTube regarding this machine for sure and how it performs. And so I wanted to show people. The reviews on both machines are extremely favorable. They are virtually at the top of their pack. This particular model, Ariens, was designed over 10 years ago, so this is even older technology than the Honda. This model was also discontinued about 2 years ago, so they no longer make this model. They've replaced it with the SnowTech, which is actually a snowblower not manufactured by Ariens. They put their name on it. I'm not sure who manufactures it. Having said that, it also gets very good reviews. But in the approximately 8 years that this snowblower was in production and in sales, they basically did nothing to change the design of it, probably because it did a good job for what it was. When they started producing this machine, there was a 3 horsepower and a 5 horsepower unit. They got rid of the 3 horsepower and replaced it with the 7 horsepower, which is what this particular machine is. This one has a gas tank that holds about 1.13 liters and has a running time of approximately 45 minutes. whereas the Honda has a 6-liter gas tank with a running time of approximately 2.5 hours. Again, this Honda here is a commercial grade unit. It's meant to be used for larger jobs and heavier situations, so they needed to have a larger gas tank so that the operator could operate it for that length of time. And of course, it does have on the gas tank a fuel gauge as well, so the operator can see. One of the other advantages to this machine that we don't see on the single stage, and I haven't seen on any single stage, and that is a light. Obviously, it does snow at night, or sometimes you have to get up so early in the morning, it's still dark, and that light is extremely handy. So the single stage does not offer that as an option. One of the things I like about the Ariens as well in regards to single stage units is the use of plastic, especially along the side. In my case, my driveway is about 40 feet long, and it's a single car driveway in terms of width. So it's not a large driveway, but we do have 2 vehicles, and I needed a machine that could literally fit right along the side of the vehicle with just maybe an inch or 2 to spare. And I didn't like the thought of a lot of metal being around the side of it in case the machine caught something and jarred into my vehicle, causing a rather expensive scratch. So this is something I appreciate about the Ariens that I don't see on models like from thro or even the new Ariens, which has a lot more metal on it. As a result, that is also another reason why the weight is kept down on this machine. This machine also has a 3-year warranty for residential use, although if you read the fine print, if you use this machine for commercial use, they bring that down to 90 days. So it's not meant for that. Having said that, I did come across a review of a gentleman who owns a contracting business, I believe it was down in Wisconsin, which is certainly one of the snow belts in the United States. And he uses it as a contractor, and he said he would go through up to 15 inches of snow with these units with no problem. So he had a very good experience with this machine, and I hope that I will too. So I hope that this has been helpful and informational to you as to the differences between these 2 machines. They're not apples to apples, and we've broken down the specifications, the advantages, the disadvantages. And what we're going to do is we're going to come back another time and we'll merge the 2 videos where we'll actually show the difference between, in real world situation, what these machines will do with snow. And so we hope this has been helpful to you, and we'll see you shortly. Okay, I'm back again, and I just realized we forgot a few details, so we're going to go over those. And then I thought, you know, it'd be valuable to actually start these machines up and show you how they work. On the Honda here, there is a feature, as I mentioned before, where you can tilt it back. And I'm corrected that it's not actually a spring, but at the back we have a hydraulic system. So this lever here, you simply pull this lever, and then you can adjust a permanent tilt. And you can let the lever go, and it'll stay there. So if you need to adjust that, even as high, you can adjust it quite high for the front of the machine. So that's a distinct advantage with this machine, albeit somewhat necessary because you don't have wheels and you don't have that natural pivot point. So basically it's a feature that Honda's built in that allows you to have the advantages of a track system as well as some of the advantages of having wheels. Obviously the main disadvantage of a track system is that it's harder to maneuver, it's harder to turn because there's simply more drag and there isn't the pivot point in the machine. And so that's one of the drawbacks that you have to make do with to have all the advantages of having a track. As well as we want to look at the throwing distance of these 2 machines. Honda rates this machine, the HS928, as throwing about 50 feet, which is a very significant amount. Basically for any consumer model, that's about as far as it's going to go. On the Ariens, we're looking at a throwing distance of about 35 feet. So for my application, my little driveway, I can easily throw this over my vehicles, throw it onto my lawn, no problem. For larger jobs, we need a longer throwing distance like what the Honda would provide. So what we're going to do is we're just going to simply throw these machines on and just quickly show you how they work. So with the Honda, again, you have a key system where you just simply turn it on here at the back. And then once that's on, you can operate. You can see how easy it is to operate the chute system, both the height of the snow and the direction of the snow. And from there, we just turn the key in the start position. We have the choke down. It's that easy to start up this machine and to operate it. Alright, so now we're going to take a look at the Ariens model. Again, this is a two-stroke engine. So what we have here to start this is we have to have the key to the on position. We're going to give 3 primes, and we have a choke if we need to use that. We can use the electric start for no more than 5 seconds plugged into 120 volt outlet, or we can simply give a pull of the ripcord. So again, two-stroke engine, small but lots of power. Not as good on the emissions of your gases and such, but makes good for a small compact unit. So this is what the Ariens has to offer in the single stage previously in this model, the 722, and we're comparing that again against the Honda HS928. We know it's not apples versus apples. We're simply showing you what both machines can do, and depending on your situation, this one might be better for you or this one might be better for you. We'll see you again when we're actually going to use them in a real world situation and remove some snow in my friend's driveway. Have a good day.